Imagine a source of information where all the events and even thoughts that have ever happened in our world are recorded. Imagine also that this information source gives you the opportunity to view all of this. Using this primary source, which, I am convinced, is accessible to everyone, we can learn about the purpose of our lives, as well as about the causes of our life problems, which, it seems to us, we are unfairly rewarded. What source of information did Edgar Cayce talk about? We will definitely give an answer to this question, but first it will be interesting to find out who the man who was called the Great Seer was. A powerful mystic of the first half of the last century, he was a unique personality who was far ahead of his time. He selflessly helped everyone who approached him. Neither the pillars of the Catholic Church nor the figures of officially recognized science at that time tried to denigrate him. His revelations have helped countless people, and the importance and significance of his words continues to support and help millions of people today. So we present the life story of Edgar Casey. In 1877, a boy was born in the family of farmer Leslie Casey from Kentucky, who was given the name Edgar. The kid grew and developed, not standing out from the crowd of other boys until it was time to start school. Edgar was not a very diligent student, and spelling caused him particular difficulties. Because of his constant mistakes, the boy became the object of ridicule from his peers and the teacher's displeasure. Lacey, to whom the teacher complained about his son's stupidity, tried in every possible way to reason with Edgar. But when the conversations did not bring any visible benefit, one day in anger he gave his son a heavy slap, from which the boy fell to the floor and lost consciousness for a second. It was at this moment that the words sounded in the child's head, "You just need to sleep." Since then, instead of memorizing his lessons, Edgar just fell asleep for a while, putting a stack of textbooks under his head instead of a pillow. Now, everything written in books remained in his memory forever. After graduating from high school with the best grades, Edgar and his family moved from the farm to Hopkinsville. A common cold turned into a complete loss of voice. All the doctor's efforts had no effect. However, Casey was able to heal himself. It happened at a performance by a hypnotist who came to the city. Immersed in a trance, the man identified the cause of his illness and the method of treatment. After waking up, the voice returned. From now on, Casey began to diagnose others. This happened during a trance, which could also be called a half-sleep. That's how the healing activity began. Gradually, Edgar Casey's name gained national popularity. Journalists wrote about him, and many Americans dreamed of attending his sessions. Due to the fact that the man fell into a short sleep during the sessions, reporters gave him the nickname, the Sleeping Prophet. By 1925, Casey had become a professional medium, predicting various events, still making diagnoses and treating people. Edgar Cayce could not only look into the future, he could also see a person's past. Edgar Cayce claimed that he learns about a person's past from some cosmic source of information, on which each of us leaves his imprint. Casey didn't have an answer to the question of who created this source, but he knew what his primary goal was. He believed that, first of all, this source of information is responsible for the cause and effect development of every human soul. And the development of the soul, according to Edgar Cayce, can occur only during its reincarnation. What did he learn about this phenomenon? We've known each other in our past lives. Every person in life has such situations when, upon meeting a stranger, he suddenly feels a kinship or inexplicable hostility towards him. This happens because at such moments, our subconscious memory reminds us that we were familiar with this person in our past lives, explained Edgar Cayce. Mention of the reincarnation of the soul can be found in almost 2,000 Casey readings. This is the name given to the revelations of the medium, which he dictated in a trance state. A special stenographer was hired to record them, so almost all conversations with clients are documented. One of the most interesting cases is considered to be the story of Anna Campbell, who first turned to Casey for help in early 1938. At that moment, the woman was in complete despair. Anna's second marriage, like her first, was not a happy one. Therefore, she decided to get an answer from Edgar Cayce, whether she should save this marriage. At the time of their first meeting, Edgar Cayce knew nothing about Anna. However, it would not be superfluous for us to form an idea of her in order to compare the events of this woman's life with Casey's readings. Anna was born in a small town at the beginning of the last century. Her parents were farmers. Anna had 4 brothers and a sister, Vera. She got along with all her brothers, but she had a constant feud with her sister. When Anna was in the 8th grade, she saw Robert in the schoolyard. And although they hadn't met yet, Anna knew that he was her destiny. This knowledge became for her one of those experiences that remained in her memory for the rest of her life. The first such experience happened to Anna when she was visiting her aunt. From the window of this house, one could see a small swamp. When the guest first saw this area, she felt fear, although she did not know anything about the danger of swampy soil. At that moment, Anna had only one thought in her head: I need to get out of here. Then the girl thought that this green glade was fraught with danger, and she needed to avoid it. When her aunt told her about the accidents that had happened to unwary travelers, Anna was not surprised. Meeting Robert was another unusual experience for Anna. When she first saw the young man, the moment seemed so important to her that for a moment she stopped seeing the other children. Since then, Anna had dreamed of marrying him, even though Robert was notorious in their town. After graduating from high school, Anna announced to her parents that she would marry her chosen one. Her parents were against this marriage, so Anna ran away from home with her lover. However, their union did not last long. 2 years later, Robert left Anna for another. Quote from the book Edgar Cayce and the Akashic Records by Kevin Tedeschi, Casey's life researcher. A few years later, Anna met Alan. They soon got married, but their life together was unbearable. Anna did not love her second husband and often regretted marrying him. In the most miserable moments of her life, Anna dreamed that Robert would return to her. No matter how unhappy Anna was with her first husband, she could not forget about him. She continued to stay with Alan only in the hope of having children. She was already in her late 20s and still had no children. To try to solve her problems, Anna turned to Edgar Cayce. The Past Lives of Anna Campbell. Edgar Cayce began the reading for Anna with these words: "Yes, we have records of the entity that you call Anna Campbell." During this meeting, Anna learned for the first time that her current life is closely connected with her past lives. Previously, Anna did not believe that past lives existed. Edgar Cayce told Anna that more than 100 years ago, she was born into a family of farmers. Her parents worked on the land and made a living from it. Anna, on the other hand, was preoccupied with herself all the time and thought only of herself. When she turned 17, she ran away from home with a tramp, but very soon, Anna was left alone without means of livelihood. She was sheltered by a woman. She was the owner of the tavern. Anna started working here. In the evenings, she entertained the guests of the tavern. A few years later, the town where Anna lived was attacked by Indians. Anna escaped with the rest of the residents, but the Indians discovered the fugitives and drove them to the swamp. Anna was horrified by what was happening. She kept thinking that she needed to get out of this place faster. The exact same phrase popped into her mind when she saw a similar landscape outside her aunt's house. This was Anna's memory from a previous life. During the following meetings, Edgar Cayce talked about Anna's other lives. One of her incarnations took place in France. It was this life that subsequently determined the relationship between Anna and Robert. In it, Robert was an influential married man. Unbeknownst to his wife, he was dating Anna. The latter did not like that these meetings were infrequent. Thanks to reading Edgar Casey, it became clear why in her new life Anna wants to be with Robert so much, who does not show her respect in this life either. During Edgar Casey's readings, Anna also understood the reason for her enmity with her sister Vera. In one of her past lives, Vera was married to a man who was in love with Anna. Anna didn't love him, but she agreed to be with him out of pity. And Vera, left alone in the end, was filled with hatred for her rival. From the transcripts of that period, although Anna's life in the 19th century was not particularly long, she died at the age of 48. It was eventful and contained many lessons. All this was reflected in her next life, which began in the 20th century in a small town. Further readings suggested that Anna should still work hard on her relationship with Alan, and hinted that if she didn't take care of it in her current life, she would have to do it in the next. A year later, Robert suddenly reappeared in Anna's life and invited her to live together again. But she, remembering the readings, found the strength to reject this offer. Speaking about personal relationships between people, Edgar Cayce argued that every meeting in our lives should not be considered as accidental. According to the prophet, in our new incarnation we meet those souls with whom we were familiar in our past lives. And our relationship with another person begins at the stage where it was interrupted in a previous life. But this does not mean that the past life completely determines the future. It only becomes a framework of probabilities that are recorded in the information source. And which of the probabilities will be realized in the new life depends on the choice of the person himself. Edgar Cayce believed that all souls go through reincarnation. He said, "Reincarnation is a continuous attribute of every soul's life. The soul needs it for transformation and development." Casey is confident that every person in his life gets an experience that will help his soul grow and, as a result, achieve the ideal of spiritual perfection. The meaning of life is for the soul to go through a series of rebirths, which as a result will allow it to rise to the level of maximum awakening and ultimate spiritual awareness. But can this statement be considered true for every soul? It is known that Edgar Cayce received confirmation of the existence of reincarnation in almost 2,000 of his readings. But it should be borne in mind that many of them were conducted for one person. For example, Anna Campbell managed to get Casey to conduct 83 readings. Therefore, 2,000 readings dealing with reincarnation are not so many, in order to agree with Edgar Cayce's statement about continuous reincarnation for every soul. By the way, at the end of his life, the seer decided to ask higher powers about his own previous incarnations. His first appearance on Earth occurred during the existence of Atlantis. The medium was convinced of its reality and predicted that the time would come when the waters of the Atlantic Ocean would part, and the majestic beauty of the ancient city would be revealed to the world again. Since then, he has repeatedly returned to earthly life, usually incarnating into warriors of various eras. And Edgar's current reincarnation is designed to atone for all the mistakes and cruelty of the old ones. His next incarnation will take place in the year 2100, when a boy with a unique gift of foresight will be born in Nebraska, to whom his parents will give the name Edgar. Describing how reincarnation controls people's destinies, Casey once said that it is the memory of past lives that merges in the human subconscious into a single whole with the current karmic incarnation. It can be said that once a person has received a memory in a previous life, it then begins to influence his future fate. The experiences of the soul and body that we receive in our previous incarnations contain a piece of universal life experience. Having absorbed the experience of one life, the soul penetrates into another body and uses this knowledge in a new life, in another form of incarnation. This is called the reincarnation of the soul. In other words, reincarnation is the process of incarnations that every human soul goes through until it is completely purified and passes into the higher realms of existence. From Casey's explanation of reincarnation, when we die, the next life does not come immediately, because our soul is given the opportunity to take stock of everything it has learned. Then we decide for ourselves what lessons we need to learn next time. If we return to the earthly plane, then, most likely, our soul will choose people whom we knew before. This is called a group of souls. We can choose whether to be born a man or a woman in any of our lives. We make choices in such a way that our soul can best fulfill a specific goal chosen for a specific life. We choose the environment, parents and family, place and time that will best allow us to learn the lessons that our soul needs for the fullness of our development. Reincarnation on a planetary scale. In his revelations, Casey talked a lot about the structure of the universe, explaining in simple language the complex dogmas of astronomy. He described how the mind, body, and soul of each individual and of humanity as a whole are connected to various spheres of the afterlife and to astrological objects such as the moon, sun, planets, and stars. Casey argued that souls reincarnate not only on Earth, but can also incarnate in other worlds, living there in between their earthly incarnations. Casey described our planet as a testing area. He discovered that the Earth is a kind of laboratory for other otherworldly worlds connected to our solar system. Reincarnation is a concept that is found not only in Eastern philosophy, but also in all major religions of the world. This theory can help us show more compassion for each other. It doesn't matter if a person believes in the idea of reincarnation or doubts it. Transmigration of souls is not given to us in order to reminisce about the past, but in order to make better use of the present. Do you believe in reincarnation? Maybe there have been cases in your life that confirm that the rebirth of souls really exists? Write your opinion in the comments. Dear friends, thank you for watching my video to the end. If you liked it, please like it, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. It's very important. Thank you, and have a nice day.